Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning, and I'm so glad that you joined us this morning. We have a lot to cover, and joining us in the 7 o'clock hour, we'll be talking with none other than Sheriff Jim Allard. So get your questions in. We've received quite a few already. All right, let's go to some viewer comments to kick off the program, then breaking news as we start our Friday broadcast before this huge storm, allegedly, we're supposed to be receiving. Okay, good morning, Frank. Steve here. Well, hey, Steve. Some people need an obvious reminder. Biden made it mandatory for all and any affiliated entities that receive federal funding that they receive the jab or they are fired, the COVID shot. That include the military, nurses, and medical facilities. Guess you don't recall that, probably because the Alphabet legacy media didn't cover it. Trump also had the mandate removed and paid the military members back pay and said they could return if they wanted to. As far as the medical community, it was too late and the main reason for such a shortage in the field. It truly does sadden me about what people had to go through with a family member. Your loss is nothing that should ever be taken lightly. Continued thoughts and prayers. And a lot of that, if you recall, especially in New York, was the disastrous mandate by then Governor Cuomo, the tragic mandate to put COVID-positive patients in nursing homes. And then, of course, you could not see your loved ones in the nursing homes. But I continue. It was the Democrats that also closed everything down, except big box chain stores and liquor stores, which is demeaning in and of itself. Placed people in a situation they were never recovering from. Then wouldn't even allow people to visit their family members. They had to deal with being returned to situations that place them in peril. Also proven that it was all lies about how they handled COVID. Amazing how they kept everyone like mushrooms when vitamin D, the sun, was and is the best deterrent to combat COVID. I am most that were and are aware of how much the Democrat Party literally tells people to their face they're going to make you suffer and don't care because they know what is best for you. And everyone, hence the last shutdown they did till the election was over. It truly saddens me. I prefer independent thought and choices over a party believing they know better than what people know and feel and want. I'm sorry for your loss. If and then Trump was to violate the Constitution, I will have an opinion. Till then, in my opinion, repeated false narratives that actually define what the Democrat Party actually is doesn't make it true. Democrat Party is a party of control. Republican Party believes in individual freedoms. If Democrats believe in freedoms, they wouldn't try to restrict basically every law and right that is afforded to every U.S. citizen. If you disagree with them, you become a target and have to be made an example of. And you look at the hypocrisy. We're going to talk about Gavin Newsom quickly. But remember, and it was it Scott Bessent that called him out on it, when everybody else was in lockdown, he was having $1,000 a plate dinners, with his friends. Comment from another viewer, Mark. Mark writes in, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. United Healthcare CEO vows to rebate Obamacare profits to consumers. And Border Patrol commander says federal agents won't leave Minnesota until all the criminals are arrested. Thank you, Mark. A couple quick things as updates from this week's broadcast. I know we've been starting for whatever reason, we've been starting the show with sort of criticism of the Buffalo Bills ownership and how it was handled with Scott McDermott. Well, now there is a petition on change.org demanding that Sean McDermott be reinstated as coach. Now, I think these typical petitions are good for getting coverage of your grievance. I don't think they typically work. But as of this morning, as of right now, at 6:04 a.m. on Friday, January the 23rd, the change.org petition to reinstate Sean McDermott to the Buffalo Bills has received 45,646 verified signatures. So if you believe that is an avenue to go down, go ahead and sign it. All right. Hey, we missed this yesterday. President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump celebrated their 21st wedding anniversary. A White House source told Fox News the couple planned to celebrate their wedding anniversary with a special dinner together. President Trump has been in Davos, Switzerland this week for the World Economic Forum, but was expected to return to Washington before the evening. So how nice is that? Okay, breaking late last night, Trump says a massive armada is headed towards Iran, but that, quote, maybe we won't have to use it, as he remained coy about his intention after authorities slaughtered protesters this month. And we had that piece yesterday that we got to, and I don't think we got to get to the whole thing, but now is the time to stand with the protesters. We can't just let it kind of fizzle out and make the horrible decision that this was an opinion piece, and you can argue it, you can refute it, but making the same decision that Obama did when he was in office. Trump saying yesterday, as he returned from Davos, we have a lot of ships going that direction just in case. We have a big flotilla going in that direction, and we'll see what happens. And we'll see what happens. Okay. I'm not going to go through each of the ships that are in the Armada, but that was breaking last night. We have a big force going toward Iran. I'd rather not see anything happen, but we're watching them very closely. I stopped 837 hangings on Thursday. They would have been dead. Everyone would have been hung. This is like from 1,000 years ago. I said, if you hang those people, you're going to be hit harder than you've ever been hit. It'll make what we did to you around nuclear look like peanuts. In an hour before this horrible thing was going to take place, they canceled it, and they actually said they canceled it. They didn't postpone it, they canceled it. So that was a good sign. But we have an armada, we have a massive fleet heading in that direction, and maybe we won't have to use it. We will see. Trump also, and we're moving quick this morning. We got a lot to cover, so buckle up. President Trump withdrew the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's Board of Peace invitation. We talked quite extensively yesterday about the Board of Peace. Dear Prime Minister Carney, the Truth Social post began, please let this letter serve to represent that the Board of Peace is withdrawing its invitation to you regarding Canada's joining what will be the most prestigious board of leaders ever assembled at any time. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Ooh. Now, Trump didn't give a reason for revoking the invite, but his announcement comes on the same day that Carney fired back at the president's criticism of Canada in Davos. He said, Canada doesn't live because of the United States. Canada thrives because we are Canadian. That was in his speech in Quebec City on Thursday. Now, if you recall in Trump's speech at Davos, he said, Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements. He also complained that Canada gets freebies from the U.S. and should be grateful. So Canada's prime minister no longer invited to the Board of Peace. Also, let's stick with international. Putin met yesterday with Witkoff and Kushner to discuss the settlements in Ukraine. There was a marathon overnight talk. Man, the people in Trump's administration work long hours. And the Kremlin insisted that the territorial issue needs to be resolved to reach a peace deal. The Kremlin meeting, which lasted past 3 a.m. Friday, came hours after Ukraine's President Zelensky sharply criticized his European allies for what he cast as their slow and fragmented response to Russia's nearly 4-year full-scale invasion that he said has left Ukraine at the mercy of Putin amid an ongoing U.S. push for a peace settlement. Kremlin Foreign Affairs Advisor Yuri Yuskov, who participated in Putin's meeting with Trump's envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, said, quote, it was reaffirmed that reaching a long-term settlement can't be expected without solving the territorial issue. That's a reference to Putin and Russia's demand that Kiev withdraw its troops from the areas in the east that Russia illegally annexed but never fully captured. Because we recall, Russia has not done what you would say is a successful job in their attack on Ukraine. One of the reasons why they fought this peace deal so much and have demanded this territory is to really save face. Zelensky said after meeting Thursday with Trump in Davos that the future status of land in eastern Ukraine, currently occupied by Russia, is unresolved, but the peace proposals are nearly ready. On a positive note, Yuskov told reporters that it was agreed that Russia, Ukraine, and U.S. officials will hold talks on security issues related to a prospective peace deal in the United Arab Emirates today. The Kremlin talks that he described as frank, constructive, and fruitful began when it was just before midnight in Moscow and lasted nearly 4 hours. All right, so there's an update there. Continuing, Russia oil tanker called the Grinch was intercepted. The French Navy intercepted a Russian oil tanker in the Mediterranean suspected of operating as part of Moscow's Shadow Fleet, a network of falsely flagged vessels used to export oil and avoid Western sanctions. President Emmanuel Macron said Thursday, pardon me, it's dry. that French forces had boarded and searched the tanker, which is subject to international sanctions. The ship was reportedly sailing from Murmansk in northern Russia under the Comoros flag. Writing on X, Macron said the operation took place on the high seas in the Mediterranean with the support of several allied countries. The French president added that the vessel has been diverted for further checks. Okay. Oh, I meant to have a picture up of this. Yesterday, you can find this at the New York Post. Jared Kushner we're moving fast, stick with us, showed off renderings of a futuristic Gaza with skyscrapers and suburbs. Again, if you recall, Trump calling it the Riviera of the Middle East in the past. Kushner showed off renderings of beachfront skyscrapers and suburban subdivisions for the Palestinian territory's nearly 2 million people, many of whom are currently living in tents or beneath rubble in the aftermath of the 2-year war that ended in October. Kushner saying in the Middle East they have built cities like this for 2-3 million people. They build this in 3 years. And so stuff like this is very doable if we make it happen. The Hamas terrorist group, which still controls Gaza's most populated areas, must disarm before construction can start. And, quote, without that, we cannot rebuild, Kushner said in his remarks to Davos. Without security, nobody is going to make investments. The plan calls for a phased reconstruction of the impoverished territory, beginning with the mass development of 100,000 homes in Rafah in the area south, with a goal of completion within 3 years. So you can find those renderings for yourself. All right, as mentioned, when we come back, we're going to talk about Governor Newsom real quick. A lot of people, even you would say some may be more aligned with the left, have been critical of this shtick of Gavin Newsom, which is to attack Trump, but in this case, he did it on foreign soil, and really calling out people like the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Macondo, saying that, essentially calling her pathetic for giving Trump that Nobel Peace Prize, saying some sexually suggestive comments about world leaders who aren't as tough as him on Trump. It came off more, I would argue, pathetic than it did forceful. I think, and I think the term's overused a lot about jumping the shark, but he really has, his act is getting stale, it's getting old, and I'm not the only one saying it. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Then we have a couple of New York updates, a lot on Minnesota, Minneapolis. As you undoubtedly heard, 3 of the ringleaders behind the protest at the church have been arrested, according to Pam Bondi. But you also have Don Lemon, a judge refusing to sign that order to arrest Don Lemon. So it's kind of a mixed bag. We'll talk about that. Let's give you some opinion pieces. I see some comments coming in. Thanks for joining us on this Friday edition of Frankly Speaking. I'm glad you're not at the grocery stores right now, stocking up on everything. As they tell us, it could be a nasty weekend. So keep that in mind. You don't need to hear me say it because I'm sure you've heard it on every outlet and everyone you've talked to. The amount of snow has ranged from, I've heard, as little as 4 inches up to 4 feet, and I'm not exaggerating. It depends on who you talk to. So keep that in mind. Make your mad dash to the grocery stores like it looked like everybody else was doing yesterday. We got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Young's Tires at 909 Chemung Street in Horseheads is the area's most trusted automotive repair facility. Check engine light on? Visit Young's Tires for a complete diagnostic check. Trust Young's Tires for complete repair, including tires, suspension, brakes, and more. For over 50 years, Young's Tires in Horseheads has been your trusted automotive repair shop. Whether you're an off-roader looking for a suspension upgrade or you want to get your star player to the game, trust the team at Young's Tires.
Hi, this is Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is a start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
In Albina Buffalo with was born. Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Day one of the National Glider Competition.
Everyone has a community, a neighborhood, school, place of worship, or other chosen groups. Communities can provide support when you need it, including helping your kids avoid underage drinking and other substance use. Learn more at talktheyhearyou.samhsa.gov.
I was a quarterback at Hardaway High School. College first round draft pick. During the football season, I would stop eating. But I didn't know I was depressed. We didn't have any education behind what mental health was. I started to learn it starts here first. If this is together, I'll be better as a father and as a husband. We have to redefine what being a strong man is and heal, love your mind.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horset. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Comment from a viewer. Steve writes in and says, I don't mean to step on Climate Fact Friday, Bob, but I have a question for everybody. If solar energy is such a good thing, how come there isn't any wind farms or windmills in China? Amazing how all they do is profit from people actually believing something that is so far from the truth. And if you look at that security threat-wise, we've found that there's different parts and different things that China put in the windmills that they sell us, because they, I think, are the biggest provider of, or not windmills, excuse me, of solar panels. So I know you're mentioning windmills, but there was in those solar panels certain equipment that they could use to maybe shut it down if they wanted to, or spy. That was not even a conspiratorial website that I got that from. That was not relayed by the national legacy media, but by very reputable sources. But we continue. Gavin Newsom. President Trump blasted Governor, as he calls him, Newscum, for embarrassing the United States, labeling him a lame duck who is making a mockery of himself on the world stage. The president didn't pull any punches. He accused Newscum of chasing international clout while his own backyard is still charred. In a nod to California's perennial drought and wildfire struggles, Trump claimed Newsom would have prevented fire destruction if he had allowed water to flow from the Pacific Northwest. Oh, did this get cut off? I want to read the whole quote. He should finish the monstrously over-budget and behind-schedule railroad from San Francisco to L.A., one of the greatest public disasters in history, and focus on stopping crime in the streets of California cities. Then finish out his term and go home. He closed his tirade by questioning rumors of Newsom's presidential ambitions, calling it unimaginable that the governor would run for the highest office given his ruination of one of the most beautiful places on earth. But who knows? It's a very strange world, Trump said. Now, David Axelrod, of course, you remember the name from the Obama administration, a former really top aide to Obama. He was at a forum about politics, and he said essentially that he's getting sick of the, bombastic attacks against President Trump. Axelrod, a top political consultant and former advisor to President Barack Obama, branded Newsom as tedious for his self-aggrandizing routine in Davos. Axelrod posted on Twitter, haven't we seen enough self-puffery from our leaders? Responding to a gushing post by Democratic influencer Harry Sison, calling Newsom's remarks at the World Economic Forum a masterclass. Yes, keep in mind, and I've been saying this, they've been pushing Newsom for whatever reason as being the number one contender, going to be the next president. And to call that a masterclass when it was insulting to world leaders in a very crude fashion. And it was that holier than thou that you're not fighting Trump as heroically as I am, as forcefully as I am. It was very, I think, just off-putting, put aside the politics of it, just off-putting on how he presented his case and looking at those world leaders and basically saying, you're not as good as me. and to call the Nobel Peace Prize winner pathetic. So this Harry Sison called it a masterclass, which that goes to show you how much they are fawning over Newsom, because I don't even care if you like Newsom. I don't think you would use the term masterclass. This is a kind of a love affair that they're having with him. By Axelrod saying, haven't you seen enough self-puffery from our leaders? He said, boy, I'll tell you what, I have a completely different cut on this in response to Sison. Newsom is a whip-smart, charismatic politician. His critiques of Trump are right. But this "why can't people just be as courageous as me" routine is tedious. He's exactly right. Tedious is a perfect word for it. It really is becoming tedious. Stephen A. Smith, the commentator from ESPN, tore into Gavin Newsom for disparaging President Trump at the World Economic Forum. He asserted that while he has no problem with Newsom criticizing Trump while on American soil, slamming the president in a foreign country is a completely different story. I think it is very wrong to insult the president on foreign soil, but I'd also add it's the fact that the way he insulted world leaders, to me, is not beneficial. But this is what Stephen A. Smith said. I have no problem with Gavin Newsom being candid and open about his feelings about our president on United States soil. To go over to another country, Switzerland, to go over there and be in the presence of other European leaders, speaking against the President of the United States, I'm not down with that. He questioned why Newsom was in Switzerland, speaking negatively about the President of the United States before playing a clip of the governor criticizing Trump. Say whatever you want here. As a governor from the opposite side of the aisle of a state in the United States, on American soil, fine. But I'm one of those people, when we go somewhere else, it's America first. And he argued that it may sound very simplistic to some, but he said some things are worthy of being simple. I understand you trolling Trump. I understand you're aiming to run for president. But we got problems here in the United States, and don't tell me they don't exist in California. We'll say darned, if affordability ain't at the top of the list in the state of California. It's expensive as heck, and a lot of it has happened on Gavin Newsom's watch. Smith conceded that he likes the governor as a person and believes that the number one impediment to the governing ability is his heart, because he truly cares and he wants to do right by everyone. You're going overseas to do that. Don't cut the mustard. Can't do that. I mean, you can, but it's not good. I got a lot of problems with Donald Trump and a lot of problems with the decisions that he made. I'm not going on foreign soil to do it. I'm not going on a world stage to do it. Smith also pointed out that Newsom had been invited onto the show on numerous occasions, but never accepted the invitation. Anyway, I don't want to go through that part. Yeah, I have a problem with that, but the real problem I have is just the smugness. I think that's a term that Scott Bessent used as well. And now Gavin Newsom is being roasted for his photo with Alex Soros, who they're calling his sugar daddy, of course, George Soros's son. And it comes after Scott Bessent said that Governor Newsom, who strikes me as Patrick Bateman meets Sparkle Beach Ken, may be the only Californian who knows less about economics than Kamala Harris. He's here this week with his billionaire sugar daddy, Alex Soros, and Davos is the perfect place for a man who, when everyone else was on lockdown, when he was having people arrested for going to church, he was having $1,000 a night meals at the French Laundry. And I'm sure the California people won't forget that. So then there's a photo of those two online, of Gavin Newsom and Alex Soros, with the caption, "Great catching up with the real star of the 2026 World Economic Forum, my friend Gavin Newsom." That's what Alex Soros posted. And then he goes on to say how it's great that he called out Trump and blah, blah, blah. Ted Cruz did an AI-generated version of the photo where it looks like he's wearing a NASCAR uniform with logos reading Soros and CCP strewn across it. White House spokeswoman Taylor Rogers said Gavin Newsom auditioning to be Alex Soros' next sugar baby is a waste of time. All the money in the world could not make Newsom's pitiful presidential dreams come true. The list goes on, and I'm not going to read everybody who roasted him. But I don't know. Those who are in love with Newsom are very happy to say that he did a great job. I just don't see it. One last thing. Now, got to take a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Nearly 5 kilos of cocaine cocaine has been seized in a bust.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
Hundreds and Horseheads joined other cities around the country on Saturday for the No Kings protest.
At the Corning Painted Post High School Learning Center, we provide students with a variety of community-based and academic opportunities and a fresh start. Located on the Corning Community College campus, students earn high school credits and gain real-world experiences through community service, internships, art partnerships, and work opportunities, experiences they value for a lifetime. Our students find a place to reconnect and succeed. The Corning Painted Post High School Learning Center, turning fresh starts into future success.
The best ski resort?
Ask Google. The best snow removal service? Ask Google.
The best Jeep dealer?
Ask Google. We did. Google reviews from customers rank Ferrario Jeep in Elmira the highest Jeep dealer in our area.
If you don't see me, I can't save you any money.
Check out the new Jeeps during the Start Something New sales event.
Visit Ferrario in Elmira or at Ferrario.com.
Alternative Diva Showstoppers featuring a Glinda and Elphaba from the Broadway company of Wicked.
Quite as popular.
Good Witch Bad Witch has been thrilling audiences coast to coast with their stunning vocals and playful banter. Good Witch Bad Witch, February 5th at the Clemens Center in downtown Elmira. Tickets at clemenscenter.org.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. A couple of viewer comments. China uses coal turbines for creating electricity and are currently building many more plants. Comment from a different viewer, not saying it's a good idea, but just to set the record straight. As of the end of November 2025, China's total installed wind power capacity surpassed 600 gigawatts, GW, and has been a world leader in wind power generation for 15 consecutive years. Their Gansu wind farm in China's Gobi Desert is the world's largest wind farm by planned capacity, 20 gigawatts, which is equivalent to 20 large nuclear plants. Thank you very much. Having a little back and forth this morning. Hakeem Jeffries opposed the Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton contempt resolution. He said he opposed the resolution to hold former President Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in contempt of Congress for refusing to testify as part of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee investigation into Epstein. Well, he must have the same opinion that the Clintons have of themselves, that they're fighting for the country by not testifying. Many have called out the Democrats who didn't want to hold them in contempt for their hypocrisy, like Hakeem Jeffries. 9 Democrats on the Oversight Committee voted to hold the former president in contempt, and 3 voted to hold the former Secretary of State in contempt on Wednesday. Jeffries telling reporters, I strongly support the position of Robert Garcia and Jamie Raskin and have indicated that publicly and also in conversation with any member who has asked for my perspective on the issue before the committee. Jeffrey on Thursday suggested it was Attorney General Pam Bondi, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, or whoever in the Department of Justice who has violated the law and should be held in criminal contempt. Well, okay, you say that. Let's accept you at what you're saying about Pam Bondi or whoever. Why does that erase? Is it like offsetting penalties in football? Why does that erase going after the Clintons? Or is it all because there's a D next to their name? Just out of curiosity. The hypocrisy on full display, and we know it's all the Epstein outrage has all been about politics from the beginning, or the Biden administration would have released it in their 4 years. Hey, yesterday, Jack Smith's testimony on Capitol Hill, what was your thoughts? He said, if I asked whether to prosecute a former president based on the same facts today, I would do so regardless of whatever the president was a Republican or a Democrat. Now, according to Fox News, the 5 takeaways were Smith collected months' worth of phone data on the Republican Speaker of the House. 16 days to become the highest-ranking Republican. 16 days after becoming the highest-ranking Republican in the House of Representatives, you subpoenaed his toll records, said Brandon Gill from Texas. Smith said, I did not. Or they're asking if he felt that violated the Constitution. He said, I did not. So you were collecting months' worth of phone data on the Republican Speaker of the House, the leader of the opposition, right after he got sworn in as Speaker. That sounds like a flagrant violation of the speech or debate clause. Smith said, if Donald Trump had chosen to call a number of Democrat senators, we would have gotten toll records for Democrat senators. Oh, come on. Darrell Issa accused Smith of spying on the lawmakers whose records were subpoenaed. We also have former D.C. police officer got escorted out of the hearing after a fiery clash. Former Metropolitan Police Officer Michael Fanone was briefly escorted out of the hearing after a tense exchange with Ivan Raiklin, a one-time Army reservist and right-wing operative. Raiklin called out Fanone and introduced himself amid a packed hearing room, prompting Fanone to turn around and say, "Go blank yourself. Don't pretend like we're not mortal enemies." Whoa, okay. Smith predicts the DOJ will try to indict him. And finally, Smith reveals his one regret about his work. He was asked of the intense scrutiny and public threats against him have made him wish he did not prosecute Trump. He said, I don't regret it. However, when Kevin Kiley pressed Smith on the matter, Smith vouched for his staff, who all left or were fired when Trump took office. If I have any regrets, it would be not expressing enough appreciation for my staff who worked so hard on these investigations, adding that they sacrificed endlessly and endured way too much just doing their jobs. Okay, hey, we've been bringing up great numbers under Trump's first year. Did you see that murders in the United States plummeted in the first year of Trump's presidency, according to the Council on Criminal Justice? The rate of reported homicides was 21% lower in 2025 than in 2024, and the 35 study cities provided data for the crime. In raw numbers, this means approximately 922 fewer homicides in the first year of Trump's presidency. Wow, they actually say it's the lowest homicide rate ever recorded in law enforcement or public health data going back to 1900. Amazing. Okay. Let's talk about Minnesota. Oh, no, you know what I'm going to do? We have a minute, and it ties in with Minnesota. But lately I've been talking about whether it's because of the education system, whether it's because we've seen some of these statements made by celebrities or these protesters storming a church, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But we've been talking about don't think that the woke culture has completely gone away. I just had this conversation the other day on this program, and Ricky Schlott from the New York Post either was watching the program or had already been working on this piece. But she said when corporations axed their DEI departments at breakneck speed and pronouns quietly disappeared from emails, Republicans were quick to declare victory that woke is dead. Don't be fooled. Woke is alive and well and ready to roar back with a vengeance. The backlash to the supposed Republican renaissance and sweeping cultural conservative agendas is here. It's taking over the New York City mayor's office and spilling into the streets of Minneapolis, and it never left college campuses. A New York Post report this week revealed that psychology students at Brooklyn College are required to take a class that includes collective racial healing activities, as well as trauma-informed interventions to combat injustice. Quote, I don't see color and, quote, the only race is the human race are microaggressions, according to the course material. There's a weaponizing whiteness video module, and students even take a BuzzFeed quiz to find out just how deep their privilege runs. It sounds so retro, but it's actually very 2026. While corporations have been able to somewhat easily swing with the pendulum, they introduced DEI and other woke programs after the 2020 protests, then scrubbed them when Trump was reelected and public sentiment shifted. Universities, different story. Wokeness is too baked into academia to simply vanish just because a Republican is in the White House. It's been intrinsic on campus for generations. These schools invented the vocabulary of wokeness. Most people now teaching critical race theory were probably students during the first wave of CRT courses. They are creatures of the ecosystem. So is Mayor Mamdani, the Bodine-educated son of a Columbia University professor. Academia courses through his veins. It was on full display in his inaugural address, which had the tone and tenor of a wide-eyed college student's senior thesis. Quote, we will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism. His picks for cabinet positions are precisely the educated elites who parrot the language of the institutions they churn them out. And she goes through to list each one. We don't have time for that, as you can imagine. But to not let up on this idea that woke is dead, it is not. The truth is the right declared victory too early. Wokeness never died. It has infiltrated Gracie Mansion. It's filling the streets of Minneapolis. It's bubbling back up on social media and continues to simmer on college campuses. It's a weed that grows back stronger. We ignore it at our own peril. I thought that was great. When we come back, Minnesota, Minneapolis, we're going to talk about that. I see some waves, some comments coming in. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Month after year, even decades you've paid into the insurance system. You've done your part. But when you're seriously injured in a car accident or another tragedy, that system turns its back. Insurance companies care more about pumping up profits and stock prices than paying for your medical bills, your lost wages, or your recovery. At WYDC Injury Law, we fight to make them pay what's fair. If you've been hurt in New York or Pennsylvania, call 607-500-HURT. Don't let the insurance companies win.
You can just keep watching and scrolling, and the world will still feel like it's falling apart.
Widespread misalignment. Highest hospitalization. Evacuation in the West. Forced labor.
Or you can take action by joining a movement that's creating real and lasting change instead. Partnering with communities around the globe to help uproot poverty and plant seeds of hope for a brighter tomorrow. Because at World Vision, we believe that no situation is hopeless. Join a movement that's changing the world for good.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. A lot of comments coming in. I watched a lot of the Jack Smith testimony. Very typical rhetoric with sidestepping answers, especially when questioned why he was sworn in twice, and loss of memory as to who did it the first time. Mixed with, of course, praise from Democrats. Thank you, Jack. Continuing, Mark writes, I see 2 credit card companies are joining Trump's 10% interest cap on credit cards. Oh, that's great. I had not seen that. Comment from a different viewer, the essentially discriminatory practices of woke and DEI are the reasons why America is getting dumber and dumber. Thank you very much. Comment from a different viewer. Question for the comment on China's wind farms. How much does it cost China to build and how long before it pays it off? No idea. That went out. That's its own little subgenre here on Frankly Speaking right now. Ken writes in, I heard Newsom being referred to as Sparkle Beach Ken, which prompted me to Google the toy. If you haven't seen the Sparkle Ken doll, it is a OMG. It is a dead ringer for Newsom. Swept back hair and all. A pic will follow. Do you think Mattel, a California company, patterned it after Newsom? Interesting. In an effort to get his face out there to subliminally indoctrinate the sheeple into getting used to seeing him around the country. Oh, that's a good point. Good morning. That's interesting. I'll have to look it up. I did not. I just assumed it was a great name, and it made it even funnier when Scott Besant said it. Oh, that is funny. You're not kidding, Ken. I don't have a way to show it on the screen as of right this second, but if I can figure out a way, I will show it to everyone later. Comment from a different viewer. The success of the wind farms in China explains why they are building coal-fired power plants as fast as they can. Thank you very much. Oops. Sorry, moved a conversation there that I didn't want to move. Good morning, Frank. Well, hey, good morning. Look at all these comments coming in. I think it's funny that Bill Clinton is fighting for his country when he wasn't willing to do that in 1969. Great point. That was their argument. If you haven't, I know I keep repeating it, but I just think it's so egotistical, or not. That's not even right. Just so almost insulting that they're fighting for their country by not testifying in the Epstein investigation. Oh no, yeah, thanks, Ken. I saw the picture. I just can't show it. No, that's not the real one. That's hilarious. That's not Ken who sent it. That's hilarious. Sending a fabricated Sparkle Beach Ken doll that looks exactly like Newsom, but that's hilarious. Thank you. Amy Klobuchar has made her first step towards running for Minnesota governor to replace Tim Walz. She filed her paperwork to form a campaign committee to run for governor of her home state. You may remember Amy Klobuchar for running for president. Now, several people were arrested yesterday for protesting at the St. Paul Church. CNN put together what we know, and I mean... Now, the Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey denounced the arrest of one of the protesters, calling it a gross abuse of power. The way they've twisted themselves up, I don't know why, I'm not going to read CNN's version, but 3 ringleaders of the anti-ICE mob who stormed the church, including a school board member, have been arrested, according to Pam Bondi. We have arrested Nakima Levy Armstrong, who allegedly played a key role in organizing the coordinated attack on City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Listen loud and clear. We do not tolerate attacks on places of worship, she said. Armstrong allegedly led the raucous group, including Don Lemon, from the Racial Justice Network to storm the church and call out resident pastor David Eastwood, accusing him of moonlighting as the acting field office director for ICE in Minnesota. A picture of Armstrong being led away in handcuffs was shared by the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Noem saying religious freedom is the bedrock of the United States. There is no First Amendment right to obstruct someone from practicing their religion. One of the people arrested, William Kelly, he's on TikTok known as the Woke Farmer. Interesting. So woke, another time we brought that up today, was arrested by the FBI on Thursday and charged with conspiracy to deprive rights and violating the FACE Act for his role in a January 18th incident where anti-ICE protesters invaded City's church during a service. We know that background. Why I mentioned Kelly specifically, he was taunting Pam Bondi in the days after the church invasion, telling her to, quote, come and get me, among other profanity-laced rants posted to his social media. Yesterday, I went to a church with Nakima Armstrong, and I protested these white supremacists. Now, keep in mind, his language no different than Don Lemon. Don Lemon said that the fact that those members of the church, the parishioners of the church, felt that their church service shouldn't be interrupted was a form of entitlement and of their entitlement from white supremacy. Keep that in mind. That's Don Lemon, who used to work for CNN, if that gives you any idea to look inside CNN's. So echoing what Don Lemon said. And by the way, remember when I say that woke is very much in these protests, just like the ones locally, are very much about getting your picture at the protest, getting the attention, saying you are the most aggrieved, you care the most, you're the biggest defender of woke culture. Isn't that what Mr. Kelly is doing here? Posting on his TikTok. Yesterday, I went into a church with Nakima Armstrong, and I protested these white supremacists. The pastor of the church is a blanking ICE leader in the city. How can you be a blanking pastor and be a blanking ICE agent? Blank them. They want to come after me? Blank them. How can they live so comfortably while the blanking people, I know I'm saying it's way too much, but what else can I do? From Somalia that are in this country legally, they have, I'm going to stop saying blank, you get the point. Citizenship, can't even go to their mosque and pray. And then he calls them Nazis with a lot more cursing. Nazis, come and get me, Pam Bondi, you traitorous blank. Well, she did. She did. Now, the judge, and this is unfortunate, the judge rejected Trump's Department of Justice bid to charge Don Lemon over the church storming. A source familiar with the matter told the New York Post that Attorney General Pam Bondi was enraged by the judge's decision not to sign off on the charge against Lemon and added that she was heading to Minnesota herself. As a federal magistrate judge in Minnesota, Bondi announced earlier that 2 prominent local activists, that ended up being 3, were arrested. Lemon initially tried to get out of facing criminal conspiracy charges by claiming he was committing journalism while taking part in the disruption. Whenever anyone conspires to violate the protected civil rights of American citizens, the Klan Act can be used to bring a conspiracy charge, said Benny Johnson. Said Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights Harmeet Dillon to Benny Johnson. Well, we don't have to go into Don Lemon. We'll talk a little bit more about this when we return. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
Accidents happen. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business.
Dear Winter, we're coming. Our squad of vehicles, with all-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive, is ready to take you on. Safety's the name of our game. Bundle up. Toyota. Right now, you can lease a new RAV4 with all-wheel drive for just $279 a month. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
From accept member service to easy, reliable, and secure digital banking and a deep commitment to the communities we call home, First Heritage is proud to be part of our members' everyday lives. That's why we're honored to be named Best Credit Union in the Twin Tiers 5 years in a row and Best Locally Owned Business in 2025. To our members, thank you for your trust, your loyalty, and your votes. And if you're not yet a member, visit fhfcu.org or stop by your local branch and see for yourself what makes First.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Don't forget, Sheriff Allard will be joining us in the next hour. You will not want to miss that. Comment from a viewer. What's next? The Karen Bass doll? Yes, the mayor of Los Angeles, where she was out of the country during the wildfires. Newsom and her handling that wildfire situation disastrously. Great point. Comment from a different viewer. You are sick of the subject, I am sure, Frank, but a previous viewer put his finger on it. China is simultaneously building renewable and coal power generation because they know they can't depend on renewables. Say what you want about China, but they ain't nearly as dumb as we and the, we'll say, Europeans. Thank you very much. I like the nickname, though. Okay, the New York Post editorial board. I don't know if I agree with the sentiment, but not necessarily the argument itself, saying that the left's effort to justify the church invasion is worse than the attack itself. That, well, it catches your attention, we'll put it that way. Has-been TV anchor Don Lemon inadvertently did the country a favor by embedding himself and his camera in that deranged anti-ICE assault on the Twin Cities church. The clear video record showing the stunt to be a fevered disruption of a religious service fully justifies the arrest of 2 protest ringleaders on federal charges, since the local authorities plainly would never act despite the evidence. And that's why we see the judge, the activist judge there, not signing off on Don Lemon's arrest. Now, I thought it was 3. Why am I hearing 3 and then I'm hearing 2? So it must have been 2 were arrested, but I'll continue. So, yes, you know that they would have never been arrested if it weren't for the evidence that Don Lemon inadvertently supplied. It says here, after all, both head hooligans are connected to the Minneapolis-St. Paul political power structure. One is a prominent Black Lives Matter activist and member of the St. Paul School Board, Chantal Louise Allen, who proudly claims the gang was imitating Jesus when it stormed into the church to harass the congregation because they believe an assistant pastor who wasn't there that day is working as a Minnesota ICE field director. The other, attorney Nakima Levy Armstrong, is a past president of the Minneapolis NAACP chapter and a former mayoral candidate. She claimed the goons were doing the Lord's work because it's unconscionable and unacceptable for an ICE overseer to dare preach the word of God. You ever notice on the left, they're very quick to tell you how to practice your faith or what is Christian and what is not Christian, but I'll continue. And they're already backing off early proud claims that the vile interruption of Sunday services at the city's church is a clandestine operation to begin a time for judgment. Armstrong has even told CNN's Aaron Burnett the protesters were part of the service. In fact, the video shows that several dozen radicals taking over the service, shouting justice for Renee Good. We know all about that. They screamed in the face of the congregants, denouncing them as comfortable white people living lavish lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. What self-righteous baloney. To cite spiritual authority to paint your sacrilege as high-minded. The church invasion, incidentally, came just 5 months after another deranged leftist shot dozens, killing 2 children during a mass at another Twin Cities church. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison put his own ignorance of the law on display by denying the incident could be a violation of the FACE Act, which in fact expressly classifies interrupting church services as a civil rights crime. And as so many people have said, what if it were a mosque? Would Keith Ellison have that same opinion? But we'll continue. He's also pretending the First Amendment protects the hooligans. Quote, none of us are immune from the voice of the public, as if a private church were the same thing as a public square where a right to protest does exist. Lemon has alternately pretended he didn't know what Armstrong and Allen intended to do in the church, wrongly cited the First Amendment, and generally shown that he never should have been the face of CNN for all those years. The whole pack is remarkably deluded, thinking their loud claims to moral superiority will suffice to show average Americans into thinking the church invasion was somehow okay. Then again, that seems to be the approach of nearly the entire Democrat Party to an ICE effort at immigration law enforcement. To any ICE efforts at immigration law enforcement. Watch them keep it up until they find it doesn't work, at which point they'll insist they never said any such thing. Yeah, it's very much like defund the police. That is the avenue they're headed down right now. And of course, when it backfires, they'll say they were never part of the movement. We got to take a short break. Stay with us. Wrapping up nearly hour number 1, hard to believe. We'll be right back.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tubs and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
When you're running, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bust.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
Hundreds and horseheads joined other cities around the country on Saturday for the No Kings protest.
At Quickfill, what matters most is that our customers, our communities, and our heroes are taken care of. We start by providing American-made gasoline, which means you can buy local, keeping America and your communities strong. We also support vital charities every year and hold Operation Give Thanks each November to help provide a better future for our veterans and their families. We're proud to support the communities we live and work in, and we're doing our best every day to make our towns a better place. Quickfill.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Let's go to viewer comments. Regarding the left, talk about prejudice. True feelings become manifest when anger rules. Good morning, by the way. I forgot my manners when trying to get my thoughts to you. Oh, thank you very much. Good morning to you as well. Comment from a different viewer. I disagree with the comments that Don Lemon shouldn't have been the face of CNN for all those years. That was absolutely perfect to expose how corrupt and fake they really were and still are. Very good point. Jonathan Turley, I appreciate his legal expertise. He says when Minnesota's Attorney General Ellison excused mob rule, religious freedom is trampled. Because Keith Ellison essentially called it a First Amendment activity. Jonathan Turley said, ironically, Ellison has made the case for increased federal involvement in Minnesota. By declining to enforce laws against political allies, he has created the very vacuum that invites federal intervention. At the end of the day, it may be appropriate that Ellison is in court opposing expanded federal enforcement. After all, his conduct offers some of the strongest evidence for why such oversight may be necessary. Listen to how scary it's getting there, though, folks. Arizona's Attorney General, Chris Mays, suggested that residents can open fire on masked ICE agents if they feel their life is in danger under the state's self-defense laws. The Democrat, in a sit-down interview with 12 News, warned that Arizona's, quote, stand your ground law, which allows citizens to use deadly force if they believe they're in imminent danger, could become a recipe for disaster if protesters clash with immigration officers. Mays said it's kind of a recipe for disaster because you have these masked federal officers with very little identification, sometimes no identification, wearing plain clothes and masks, calling ICE very poorly trained. And we have a stand your ground law that says that if you reasonably believe that your life is in danger and you're in your house or in your car or on your property, then you can defend yourself with lethal force. This is a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge suggestion from the Arizona Attorney General, again, Chris Mays, who's up for re-election in November. So the host of the interview said, kind of flabbergasted, challenged Mays, cautioning that her remarks could be interpreted as a license to residents to shoot a federal agent. She said that she was merely stating a fact, not encouraging violence. If you're being attacked by someone who is not identified as a peace officer, how do you know? Adding that real cops don't wear masks. I mean, if somebody comes at me wearing a mask, by the way, I'm a gun owner, and I can't tell whether they're a police officer, what am I supposed to do? No, I'm not suggesting people pull out their guns, but this is a don't tread on me state. Wow. There you are. Oh, yeah, J.D. Vance was in Minnesota yesterday. He debunked this media lie about ICE arresting the 5-year-old boy. He's debunking the establishment media claim, circulated repeatedly by Democrats online, that Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents arrested a 5-year-old boy in Minnesota this week. The claim went viral after Representative Ilhan Omar posted a local news article wherein Columbia Heights Public School Superintendent Zena Stenvik suggested ICE took custody of a 5-year-old boy who was being driven to school by his illegal alien father. In reality, ICE agents said they had no choice but to stay with a 5-year-old boy, identified as Liam Ramos, after his illegal alien father took off without him when agents approached the vehicle. So the father ran while the kid was not in the car, and they had no choice but to take him into custody. On Thursday, during a press conference, Vance debunked the media claim that suggests ICE arrested Liam Ramos, the 5-year-old. I do a little bit more follow-up research, and what I find is that the 5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien, and when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let the 5-year-old child freeze to death? If the argument is that you can't arrest people who violated the law because they have children, then every single parent is going to be given complete immunity from ever being a subject of law enforcement. That doesn't make sense. No one thinks that makes sense. He also called out much of the media for lying about the work of the ICE agents. One thing I've learned is that the guys behind me are doing an incredible job, and frankly, a lot of the media is lying about the job that they do every single day. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't occasionally stories out there. There aren't occasional videos out there that suggest these guys, or at least some of the people who work for them, are not doing everything right. But very often, if you look at the context of what's going on, you understand that these people are under an incredible amount of duress, an incredible amount of chaos, and because of very far left agitators, a lot of these people are unable to do their job without being harassed, without being doxxed, and sometimes without being assaulted. That's totally unacceptable. I ran quickly through that because we are running late. Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2, moments away.
William Mattar has been a great brother, but I was surprised to learn how many people knew he was my brother.
William Mattar's on this? Oh, brother.
Because when Big Insurance finds out that he's on a car crash case.
So who's on this?
They hired William Mattar.
Oh, brother.
Word travels fast.
You know, they got Mattar on this. Mattar? Oh, brother.
Hurt in a car? Call my brother, William Mattar. 444-4444.
New York State, nearly 60 $60 million towards improving key roadways across the southern tier.
Many older homes are still at risk for exposing residents to high levels of lead.
The Nani Hood Parent Resource Center once again brought the community together for its annual Halloween parade.
Around the southern tier, Finger Lake stands out for its scenery and wine scene. This year's dry drought brought some positives to the crop. Lee Com Center is looking for fans to show up and show out.
The best ski resort?
Ask Google. The best snow removal service? Ask Google.
The best Jeep dealer?
Ask Google. We did. Google reviews from customers rank Ferrario Jeep in Elmira the highest Jeep dealer in our area.
If you don't see me, I can't save you any money.
Check out the new Jeeps during the Start Something New sales event.
Visit Ferrario in Elmira or at Ferrario.com.
And we welcome you to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you for joining us. We still have a lot to cover, and in a little bit, we'll be talking with Steuben County Sheriff Jim Allard, so get your questions in for him. Comment from a viewer regarding our conversation in the last hour. Stand your ground law, that doesn't apply to federal agents or any law enforcement for that matter. That's moronic to even think that. That's called the Castle Doctrine, not stand your ground law. Stand your ground law applies when you're off the property unless your state doesn't have a Castle Doctrine. Thank you very much. Regarding a comment from a different viewer, regarding the 5-year-old, it was reported on one of the fake local news agencies that the child's mother was asked to take him. She refused. Thank you very much. The other one was a story about the criminal contempt charges against Bill and Hillary. Yes, we talked about that yesterday. Thank you very much. Minnesota businesses are joining an economic blackout to protest ICE. Okay, that'll show them. Representative Steve Cohen stated that he wants to abolish ICE as it currently is, and they are basically a revolutionary guard on our streets. He also argued that, quote, they didn't have the right to go into the car of Miss Good. So that's Representative Steve Cohen, Democrat from Tennessee. Eric Swalwell, who's running for governor in California, maybe running for president again. He said Immigration and Customs Enforcement, as it exists today, needed to be completely dismantled. Now, and bringing this statewide, New York City teachers unions are going to hold a day of action in solidarity with Minneapolis. That's the teachers, remember. These are the same people that are the grown-ups in the room teaching the children. Members of the Big Apple's powerful teachers union will don black in a show of solidarity with Minneapolis today, demanding ICE stay out of the city after the shooting death of Renee Nicole Good, according to the group. The United Federation of Teachers urged educators, staff, and community members to join a nationwide day of action to protest federal immigration operations targeting students, teachers, and immigrants in and around local schools. Boy, so this won't just be in New York City. If they're just wearing black, I'm sure this will even happen locally. When is every day, just out of curiosity, a nationwide day of action? Boy, it sure seems that ever since Trump's got in office, that's what the left keeps pushing, a nationwide day of action. There was on the 20th. We talked about that. Now, according to Chris Churchill at the Albany Times-Union, he believes the Minnesota shooting is a flashpoint for the race for governor, our race for governor here in New York between, there's Governor Hochul and her primary challenger, her lieutenant governor, Delgado, but also that's when we go to the general, it looks to be, if it's going to be Governor Hochul and Bruce Blakeman. We just witnessed our first notable flashpoint in the race for governor, a back and forth over the killing of Renee Good by an ICE agent in Minneapolis. The presumed Republican nominee, Bruce Blakeman, suggested the shooting was justified. Kathy Hochul disagreed, to put it mildly, going so far as to describe Good's death as murder. Blakeman's comments came while he was speaking to reporters in Albany last week. He came to town to provide his take on the governor's state of the state, but found himself answering an entirely predictable question about the shooting. He said, when you look at both videos, it looks like the individual that was shot, that the person was trying to run down the ICE officer. But I think you have to wait until there's a full investigation. But let me say this, the atmosphere in Minneapolis is something that could happen here under Governor Hochul and, quite frankly, Mayor Mamdani, where there's a lack of respect for law enforcement. Now, Chris Churchill has to make sure, because it is an opinion piece, saying, I disagree with Blakeman about the shooting. I don't think the video shows that Good was trying to run down the officer, and I don't believe that the killing was morally or legally justified. And for what it's worth, nothing about Good's demeanor in the moment before the shooting, I'm not mad at you, has suggested she was primed to hurt some or run somebody over. I do accept, however, that different people can watch the same video clips and arrive at varying earnest conclusions. We all come to these things with our priors, our political tribes and camps, our individual worldview. Anyway, we go on. Well, why it all became about Chris Churchill beats me. But it's unlikely any of this will have a lasting impact on the governor's race, but it does set the tone and highlights the Trump problem that Blakeman faces. To have even a chance of winning, he'll have to put some distance between himself and the unpopular president. He'll have to show voters he's more than a minion. So far, we're still waiting. So to win, this is the old tried and true way, and we thank Mr. Churchill for confirming the bias, even at the kind of local level of media. Listen, you've heard my thoughts on Blakeman. We don't have to belabor that point or relitigate it. But this idea that he's got to distance himself from Trump. So you're not going to, so if he does, Mr. Churchill, you're never going to do another report on him about his past connections with Trump, or continue to call him a Trump minion, just out of curiosity. You notice how the people that never want to see Republicans win always tell Republicans that they have to be more moderate? Oh, they got to be more like what? Jeb Bush, more like McCain? What they always mean is they have to cave to the left on everything, and then they might get a little credit, but then they'll go back to saying, but at one time, close ally to Trump. Anyway, enough on that. Where do we want to go from here? I guess the big story, not a big story, but a story that keeps coming up is that Trump had bruises on his hands at Davos. So now there's headline after headline, 25th Amendment. We got a call for his ouster. He's from the same people that never said a word after 4 years of Biden. Now all of a sudden they're health experts. But the White House explained a visible bruise on Trump's left hand after it drew attention. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt told Fox News that Trump had bruised his hand after hitting on the corner of a signing table during the event. The White House official added the president is more prone to bruising because he takes a daily aspirin. The White House also noted to Fox News that photos taken Wednesday showed no bruising. The bruise prompted widespread speculation online as images from the ceremony circulated on social media. All right. Oh, by the way, the GOP is going to take that judge's decision about the Republican House seat, that district that we talked about yesterday, taking to the Supreme Court. They're ready to go all the way to the Supreme Court to fight against tearing up the city's only GOP congressional district, New York City's only GOP congressional district, as Democrats could avoid a messy primary. A Democratic Party-aligned Manhattan judge, that's even a downplay. The judge, Mr. Perlman, right? Wasn't it Perlman? Actually worked for Hochul and Andrea Stewart Cousins and would not recuse himself from this decision. He ordered the state's redistricting panel to once again redo New York's congressional map, a ruling that hurts House Representative Nicole Malliotakis' re-election hopes and is expected to lead to more legal dueling. We will use every legal option at our disposal, including an appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, said Malliotakis. Despite having a voter registration advantage in New York's 11th congressional district, Democrats can't beat me on merit, policy, and debate. So what do? They file a meritless lawsuit claiming our district disenfranchises minorities to take out the first minority to represent the district and steal our seat. Judge Jeffrey Perlman, a former staffer of Governor Kathy Hochul, determined the boundaries on Malliotakis' district that covers Staten Island and Brooklyn were unconstitutional because it cut out minority voters. Now Republicans are figuring out their next move as they look to appeal the ruling, which is expected to reach the state's highest court and maybe the U.S. Supreme Court. Quote, anything could happen, former Representative John Faso said. He argued Perlman tossed out the map on a provision of the state constitution that is yet to be heard in the state legal system. The decision is not grounded in precedent. Basically, this is brand new analysis. So they're willing to take it all the way to the Supreme Court. David Marcus says New York City has one Republican member of Congress, Representative Nicole Malliotakis, who represents Staten Island, the city's only red borough, and parts of South Brooklyn that are purple. An absurd and obviously partisan judicial ruling on Wednesday has put the seat at risk. This isn't just political hardball, it's a fastball to the face. But too many Republicans are too, quote, principled or too scared to retaliate. State Supreme Court Justice Jeffrey Perlman, who was not only appointed by far-left Democrat Governor Kathy Hochul, but once served as her chief of staff, found that the district map, which was signed into law in 2024 by Hochul herself, is suddenly unconstitutional. Incredibly, Hochul agrees that she and the New York Democrats themselves signed into law an unconstitutional district just over a year ago, and her state government has refused to defend its own map in court. The judge said there was strong evidence of racially polarized voting bloc, as well as a history of discrimination that impacts current-day political participation and representation, and that racial appeals are still made in political campaigns today. Having lived from 2013 to 2023 in the district, said David Marcus, I could tell you this argument is a bag of nonsense, set on fire and left on your doorstep of sanity. It does not remotely represent the reality of on the ground, where there are no smoldering racial tensions. In reality, deceitful Democrats want to swap right-leaning white voters in Bay Ridge with left-leaning white voters in the ritzy FIDI financial district, must be. This is blatant as partisan gerrymandering gets, and in corrupt New York State, that is saying a lot. Democrats will argue that they are just responding to redistricting efforts by the GOP, but the Texas Republicans only started engaging in what the Democrats have done forever. That's why there are no GOP seats in all of New England, composing of a state where 45% of voters voted for Trump. Likewise, Illinois, New Mexico, and others have nearly no GOP districts. The response by states like Texas has prompted the Democrats to see if they have anything left on the table anywhere, hence this New York duplicity with similar plans in Virginia. The problem for Republican voters who would love a fair shake is that states like Indiana still won't respond. As usual, Democrats are united and playing fast break basketball, while the GOP is taking the, quote, high road and playing as the Washington Generals. So we got the Harlem Globetrotters versus the Washington Generals. We see this as well with the blue slips in the Senate needed for judicial confirmations. Democrats abuse it, and now Trump has filled out 15 of over 90 U.S. attorney seats. He can't get anyone confirmed if Democrats can block it. It's the same with the filibuster and government shutdowns. The left plays smash mouth, and the GOP gets played. J.D. Vance, has been leading the charge to stiffen the spine of the soft GOP of yesteryear. He called out Indiana State Senate President Pro Tem Roderick Bray, and he wasn't subtle, saying, quote, I'd like to thank Bray for not even trying to fight back against this extraordinary Democrat abuse of power. Now the votes of Indiana Republicans will matter far less than the votes of Virginia Democrats. We told you it would happen, and you did nothing. Ooh. What do Indiana Republicans think the aw shucks Mr. Smith goes to Washington routine is going to achieve? That they can hold their heads up high for 2 years as Democrat-controlled House impeaches President Trump 2 or 3 more times? From the very first time Quill met paper to carve out a congressional district in the 1780s, the practice has been fraught with politics and always will be. But just because Democrats spent recent decades as on the side abusing the system, that doesn't mean Republicans must rein themselves in to that stilted status quo. If sanity prevails in the Empire State, admittedly a big ask, then a federal judge will squash Perlman's partisan and frankly absurd ruling, keeping the district intact. Whether Maltakis' district survives as is or not, and don't count her out either way, Republicans need to fight back with all guns ablazing, not with one Hoosier hand tied behind his back. All right, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Nearly 4 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bust.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
Hundreds and horseheads joined other cities around the country on Saturday for the No Kings protest.
It's the home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer. Create with the 3D printer. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine rentals. Or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to your local library today.
Sophia A., grade 4, absent, because transportation was absent.
Julio M., grade 6, absent, because Wi-Fi was absent.
Maria J., grade 12, absent, because childcare for siblings was absent.
Jacob O., grade 12, absent, because housing was absent.
Aisha S.,
Olivia H.
Darren L.
Cole W.
Preston L.
Absent.
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 Because healthcare, anti-bullying,
Mental health support was absent.
We're calling roll on the 15 million absent students.
Their reasons why are very real.
And yet the solution is a present, caring adult to help them along their path.
When communities and schools is present, 99% of our students are present and ready to learn.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Couple of viewer comments. The left has to do something every day because they are in desperation mode. They know they are losing badly. Trump pounds the stake in a little bit more every day. Thank you very much. Mark writes in, so the left is saying Good was not trying to run the ICE agent over. So how did he get internal bleeding? Leave it to the Democrats and the media to twist the truth. And finally, Ken writes in, my comment on the Jack Smith hearings, a colossal waste of taxpayer money. Nothing will come from it and no one will be held to account. The left and the sheeple will say, see, we told you, nothing to see here. The right and MAGA will say, see, we told you that the Dems abuse their power. Thank you, Ken. We got to take another short break. Stay with us. The sheriff is in the building, so get your comments in, and we'll be right back.
An albino baby buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Day 1 of the National Glider Competition.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Dear Winter, we're coming. Our squad of vehicles, with all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, is ready to take you on. Safety's the name of our game. Bundle up. Toyota. Right now, you can lease a new RAV4 with all-wheel drive for just $279 a month. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
It's great to catch up, Jamie. How's business?
Good. Are you up to speed with the new beneficial ownership reporting requirements?
Sort of. What's it about?
It's a new initiative to help fight crimes like money laundering, fraud, and drug trafficking. A lot of small businesses like ours just have to report some basic info to the federal government about the real people behind them.
Does that include my cafe?
There are some exemptions for certain companies, but don't worry. There's lots of guidance on the government's website about who needs to file. Check out fincen.gov/BOI. Filing is easy and free. It took me less than 20 minutes.
Looks like I do have to file. Thanks, Jamie. It's great having a supportive business community.
Reporting beneficial ownership information helps protect U.S. national security. Filing is quick, secure, and free. And it's the law. Learn more at fincen.gov/.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horsets. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio, Sheriff Jim Aller. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning. It's a beautiful day in Steuben County.
It
Frank.
always is. Boy, this weekend sounds like it could get a little hairy. Yeah, I know. But who knows? We never know. I'm not a meteorologist.
We might live in New York State or something.
I know. In January, I know. People forget that it's cold. So I saw some posts online. How was the New York State Sheriff's Association meeting?
It was a busy week. We covered a lot of ground. We had a lot of really good classes. And because I'm the chair of the Institute, I get to MC the award ceremony.
Oh, wow. How'd that go?
Holy cow. What a phenomenal bunch of heroes.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can say is, as I'm reading them, and as we were reading the submissions prior to choosing the award receivers, I'm just amazed at the level of law enforcement in this state.
Mm-hmm. Was it difficult to choose? I mean,
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were, especially Deputy of the Year. Usually we do one Deputy of the Year. This year we did 3.
Oh, wow.
And we had some others that were definitely deserving, but not as deserving.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it probably stings a little bit because you want to give them all awards when it's that impressive.
Yeah,
wow.
It really was.
So what kind of events happened? You said a lot of like classes and things like that throughout the whole week?
We had a variety of classes. We had the Border Patrol was in, RCMP came in and talked about how they're working now with our folks.
Mm-hmm.
We had a class on the dark web.
Oh.
We had a class on AI.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. We had a wellness class, all things that are topical right now. One of the most interesting ones we had was an intelligence analyst from the Cochise County Sheriff's Office in Arizona.
Okay.
And he has been able to map how folks are smuggled in by the cartel, where they go, how they go. And I did not realize, even in upstate New York, there's money services that are sending $15 and $20 million a year back to the cartels.
Wow.
From folks that were delivered here to work and pay off their debt for their delivery. It was amazing.
I'm guessing, and you mentioned AI and dark web, there's got to be some eye-opening conferences or that you're attending. How scary is it when you learn about the dark web and AI?
So
I know they're not the same. I don't want to compare the two, but the use of them.
I think AI is almost a bigger concern as to where it could go and what it could achieve if it's not harnessed correctly.
Mm-hmm.
The dark web, actually, the whole class was, everything you see is this kid with a
hoodie over.
He's like, that's not it.
No.
And the guy that he does investigations on the dark web for the DEA is the guy that presented. Very, very knowledgeable fella. And he's like, it's just a version of the web.
Right.
It's all how you use it. Now, you can use it to order drugs, and you can use it to get child porn and all of those bad things, but it's still just a vehicle to do that. What makes it different is the ability to trace. Everything has a
already. All right. Mark it 722.
That's got to be
it
a
actually
new record.
It actually went right back to its perfect spot.
But what makes a difference is when you enter the web, you have a place here, then there's a middle place, and then there's a final place. So this guy only knows who's entering. This guy only knows what website you're accessing, and this guy in the middle knows nothing.
I gotcha.
So the anonymity of it is what makes it unique.
And how much do you think at the sheriff's office you're going to have to deal with scams from AI? Are you already dealing with them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I see so many people just anecdotally on Facebook getting duped by it that it's been used as crime since the day it was.
Especially with Facebook, how much of that you see, because you'll see, like, especially after a sporting event, you'll see a coach supposedly saying this.
The worst thing.
And then you'll see it for 3 other teams.
Yeah.
The exact same thing.
And then people buy into it. But then you watch Pagula's press conference, and so maybe, never mind.
Maybe he should have used AI.
Yeah, he should have used AI on that. But I heard you had a special guest at the Sheriff's Association.
Yeah, the governor came in and spoke for about 15 minutes and left very quickly. Didn't take any questions, but at least that's the first time she's come to the conference.
Oh, really?
She came...
because it's an election year.
Well, there might be that too. She came a year ago for when we swore, or 2 years ago when we swore in the president, and jetted quickly. And this is the first time since Governor Cuomo that the governor actually came to the conference. So
what was her kind of talking points? Was it that everything is okay?
it was. I know how hard your job is, and
Oh, okay.
and a lot of it was because her husband was he was a United States attorney as a prosecutor. I actually worked with him.
Oh,
and when I was here at Corning, and you know, just that it was hey, we hear you, call me if there's an issue, and and of course we're all like, really?
Okay. You didn't give us your card. Where's your number?
But
okay.
I have to say one good thing
that's nice.
in the budget. You know, we're doing the wellness center at the summer camp. In the budget, a group that we're working with, the Mental Health Association of New York State, put in for $1 million grant for programming.
Wonderful.
It's in the budget.
So hopefully,
programming should be starting there.
I would hope that I mean, that should be bipartisan, but you never know with Albany.
Right. But I believe it passed the initial.
Oh, good. That's wonderful.
The first hurdle's over.
So, well, there's at least one good thing at the
So I have to give props where props is due.
Yeah. Now, I know we've joked about this in the past, but when you see the state of the state by the governor, or you start to see your budget priorities, you must just be on your phone all day wondering what new restriction on law enforcement is coming our way.
Right.
What did you think of this state of the state and what we've heard so far about the budget?
So there's a lot of Senator Salazar has another whole batch of anti-law enforcement stuff.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like it got any traction in the budget. There's very little mention of it in the budget. The only real law enforcement stuff I saw in the budget was expanding sanctuary areas.
Yeah. But then in Governor Hochul, because they wanted to, I can't remember what it was called, like New York for All or something, which is an extreme sanctuary. It doesn't seem like Governor Hochul's latched onto that. Last I saw, she hasn't made any statement on it.
No. And I spoke previously about the corrections omnibus bill at the end of last year and how they were going to expand. That's got some chapter amendments in it now in the budget. They were going to expand the Commission of Correction to 9 people. It's still 3 full-time, 2 part-time.
Okay.
But the 2 part-time have full authority.
Yeah, okay.
And one of those part-timers has to be a former prison inmate.
I remember you telling us that.
And
so that's still in there.
That's still in there. And the other one has to be either a doctor or an attorney that was engaged in protecting the rights of inmates.
Okay. Well, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and also I saw the governor saying, I read this on Empire Report earlier this week, that there's no appetite for reforms to raise the age. Right? Did you hear that?
She did say that. Yeah.
So, why? For a while there, even Democrats were talking about it. After July 4th, what happened in Albany with all those young people shooting out flares and causing a lot. There seemed to be an actual appetite for it, to keep using that term. Why? Her argument didn't seem like a very good argument to me. Just seems like she doesn't want the controversy or doesn't want to deal with it.
Correct. She just doesn't want to dredge it up again, and because that is something that's on her.
Yeah.
And you look at some of the stuff that's been passed, like the Clean Slate Act.
Yeah.
There's been very little done on that, and that's going to be really tough for places when you do a background check on somebody. If it's 3 years after they had their misdemeanor conviction of endangering the welfare of a child, it's not going to show.
Yeah. And think of the implication of what job they're applying for. These are things that, this is what scares us about Albany. It's just like we joke about on the program a lot. You remember last year where that Manhattan assembly person suggested that you couldn't have more than 750 cows on a cow? Remember that? Yeah. It just seems like they sit around in a room and try to think of the most outlandish, outrageous things. But with the one-party rule in Albany, those can actually come true now.
They do.
Yeah.
And they do. And that's, we have an attorney at the Sheriff's Association that tracks every bill that comes out. Sure. And then we obviously, as a group, send our opinion to the Hill.
Yeah.
We did a networking at the Fort Orange Club this year and invited several of the downstate legislators to come meet us and mix with us.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say that Assemblyman Palmisano, Sempolinski, and Assemblywoman Bailey, and Senator O'Mara all attended.
Of course, I'm sure.
It was very good to see them there
Yeah.
and see their support. But there were some folks that came that I didn't expect to see. Salazar wasn't one of them.
No, he couldn't make it.
But, you know, that's something that we're engaged in now, trying to break down the barriers so at least we can have a discussion and be part of the conversation.
Well, and and by the way, we got a comment here that I wanted to mention. Good morning, gentlemen. It's always a beautiful day when Sheriff Adler is on Frankly Speaking. Mayor John Buckley.
Hey,
thank you, Mayor, for
there
watching.
He is.
We appreciate that. Going back just quickly to the Raise the Age, and we talked with Sheriff Strom about this not that long ago, and I know we've talked about it numerous times. It's so many young lives are ruined because of this law. And so for the governor to say that no one really wants to look at it, think of for the next 4 years, if she wins re-election and nothing has changed, how many lives are just destroyed?
And it's insidious on the levels that it does that. I mean, obviously the criminal element is looking for 17-year-olds to commit crimes, but when they are caught, there are no local facilities to hold them.
Right.
So when you look at most of the folks that we have, especially 16-year-olds that are in a supervised detention, we're taking them to Nassau County or down to New York City or Westchester. Their family has no, if there was an attempt to reach out to them, they're completely isolated.
Yeah.
That's opposite of everything we know that works.
Yeah.
And then when they get adjudicated, they're held in these areas with people that are accused of very, very serious crimes. I know Sheriff Baxter in Monroe County, his is always full.
I'm sure.
His specialized secure detention, which are 17-year-old adolescent offenders, is the majority of them that are in there for murder. So if you get sent in there for something else, guess what?
Yeah.
You're in with some pretty bad people.
It's a shame, but again, even if she were to reform it, it's not. It's just like with bail reform or whatever.
It's going to be a token effort.
But I thought she would just for the re-election year to say that she's tough, because look how good Lee Zeldin did running on public safety. Right now, she doesn't really have that argument. She'll find a way to twist it. But we better take a short break. Let's keep those questions and comments coming in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
The best ski resort?
Ask Google. The best snow removal service? Ask Google.
The best Jeep dealer?
Ask Google. We did. Google reviews from customers rank Ferrario Jeep in Elmira the highest Jeep dealer in our area.
If you don't see me, I can't save you any money.
Check out the new Jeeps during the Start Something New sales event.
Visit Ferrario in Elmira or at Ferrario.com.
Alternative Diva Showstoppers featuring a Glinda and Elphaba from the Broadway company of Wicked.
Quite as popular.
Good Witch Bad Witch has been thrilling audiences coast to coast with their stunning vocals and playful banter. Good Witch Bad Witch, February 5th at the Clemens Center in downtown Elmira. Tickets at clemencencenter.org.
In the corners of our country, everyday people with a love for the outdoors are leaving the world a little better than they found it. With no recognition or pat on the back, the reward is the rustle of leaves, the ripple of water, the call of the wild. These are the unsung heroes of the wetlands. Everyday people investing their time, their resources, and their hearts into conservation. They are the stewards of our most precious resources, ensuring that the magic of the outdoors lives on for future generations. Ducks Unlimited relies on the hard work and support of these individuals. Without their dedication, our mission to protect these vital ecosystems for those who draw inspiration and sustenance from them would remain out of reach. Join Ducks Unlimited and become part of a community of outdoor enthusiasts committed to preserving our wetlands for the next generations of unsung heroes. A public service from Ducks Unlimited.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking. That's the Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horsenets. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, Sheriff Allard. We've got so many comments. We're going to talk, just so people know, we are going to talk about ICE. We are going. I'm sure you were waiting for that. But we talked about the mayor earlier. You're going to be on the Pulse.
Yes.
Mayor of Hornell, John Buckley, has a Pulse on WLEA. If you're in Hornell, it's on Saturdays and Sunday at 1 o'clock. I like doing that show.
He
Brian
does a
O'Neill
really good job with that. Yeah.
Yep.
And you get to hear Brian O'Neill laugh in the background.
Laugh in the background, and he's masterful at that. So, so we've got a lot to cover. I know people are asking why it's taking so long. Before we talk about ICE, new legislators are in. We haven't talked since the new year. Yep. What's it look like with the new legislation? What do you think the year ahead looks like?
Well, I think this is going to be a year of the legislature trying to rebuild their forward-facing their reputation.
Okay,
let's say that
I was wondering what word you're going to use.
Their appeal is still ongoing. It was scheduled for oral arguments March 3rd. They filed for an extension to try and push it out further.
How long
for
is
whatever
that delay?
reason. I don't know.
Really?
It either delays it to later in this appellate session or to the next one. I don't know.
How long are we going to continue to talk about this?
Well, it's funny. I had a talk yesterday with one of the attorneys at the Sheriff's Association, and he goes, I just can't believe they're not trying to reconcile and put this behind them.
You would think.
And I said, well, all I'm told is that I need to quit saying bad things about them. So,
and yet that's why I invite you on this program. but seriously, it's unfortunate that here we are in 2026 still talking about it.
From something that happened in September of 23.
Yeah. Think of that.
It's almost 3 years.
That is. Now, but I do think we had Kelly Fitzpatrick on last week. I do think a lot of people want to look forward.
They do.
Not look back.
They do.
Not all of them, but there are some. But I think a lot of that, going back to your point, if they would just let this play out and get it over with.
Or
not delay it again.
Or conclude it.
Yeah, or more important, that would be the smart decision. But it seems like at this point, I guess they're all in. But let's not delay it even further.
Yes.
Maybe they're hoping that it goes out of people's minds.
I think so. I think there's an attempt to get some distance from it. Kind of the Serve Pro.
Yeah.
Get it cleaned up like it never really happened.
Yeah.
But
I would say November. If you look at November, I think a lot of people still remember.
Yeah. Obviously, I haven't been made whole yet.
No.
And this continues on, and it's silly. I looked on the county website last week, and I sent an email to the chair and to the county attorney and said, hey, you're still listing that local law as being passed.
Yeah.
Which you had to stay on before you put it on.
Right.
And then it was struck down by a Supreme Court judge. So what are we doing here? Mm-hmm. If you're moving on, let's clean things up.
Move on.
And fix things and then move on.
Right.
Because if we don't clean things up and fix things, we're not moving on, we're just continuing.
Right. Have you had an opportunity to meet with the new legislators?
Yeah. So I had Mr. Valino came in last week for a tour, or a week and a half ago for a tour. And Monday, the other 3 new ones, plus 2 of the existing ones are coming in for a tour of the jail.
Great.
And, I welcome that because obviously I'm very much engaged in transparency. Please come in and see what we do. And it's important that they see what they're going to be voting on.
100%.
Because I think until you tour that jail, you have no idea how big it is and how much goes on in there.
Right.
And, I hate to belabor the point, but we have 32 town courts. We have 14 villages and 2 cities, and the county court building. Our correction officers are transporting a lot all over the county, and there's a lot of moving parts in that jail.
Oh yeah, I know. I follow the app. I see the people. I see the people coming in and out. I'm refreshing hourly. That's right. But we have to talk about ICE, and I was mentioning this earlier. It's interesting to me because remember when it was defund the police, and Democrats ran on defund the police for a while, and that backfired
it did
spectacularly. I feel like they're treading on that, maybe even going further with this whole attack, this anti-ICE now protesting in churches.
Yeah.
Do you feel that there's going to be a backlash on that?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Bob Lonsberry did a really good article, I think it was a week ago, comparing the George Floyd riots to what's going on now, and that was an attack on local law enforcement. This is an attack on federal law enforcement. And I see similarities, and actually there's a lot of the same players.
Yeah.
And when we did the reform plan that Governor Cuomo ordered, if you recall, there was one specific person that was in front of City Hall every day with signs that once it was done, I haven't seen her. I never saw her before, and I haven't seen her since.
Right.
And when you talk to folks in urban areas, it's the same type of mobilization and people that are protesting. This is such a diverse topic. I've got friends in the Sheriff's Association, sheriffs in other counties that are, my very good friend, but we disagree completely on these issues. And I think we see that the difference is that he and I can talk about it.
Right. That's
and we can disagree and still get along and still work together. And what I'm seeing nationally is this inability to disagree but still work together. And I signed the contracts with the federal government to be able to work with ICE, because I don't want an incident here in Steuben County where someone gets hurt.
Yeah.
It's my feeling, and I feel it's my responsibility, that when any federal law enforcement group comes into Steuben County, that we make sure that we protect them and our residents from hurting themselves.
Right.
I don't want somebody to get hurt because their ideologue tells them that they need to obstruct governmental administration,
right,
or resist. I had a chat with the person that's the supervisor of ICE in this region. I talk to him every now and again, and he's telling me how they're, if they don't open the door, we're going to bust the window in the car. And I said, well, you're not going to do that here.
Yeah, right.
That's not how we work here. And we'll be there to help you, to make sure you don't have to do that. And I see that as our role. Now, do I want to go out rounding people up because they look different? Obviously, no.
Right.
That's unconstitutional. But ICE is going to come whether we want them or not.
Right.
And
let's make it safe for everyone. Residents, for the person being detained, everything.
That's my goal, is to make sure that folks are safely handled and handled with dignity. But it is a crime to enter this country illegally without going through a port of entry. And if you're deported and you enter again, it's a felony.
Right.
So to cross without going through a port of entry is a misdemeanor. If you're deported and you do it again, that's a felony. Those are crimes, and that's the criminal aspect of what ICE does. The administrative aspect, which gets all the attention, is, say I come in and I get a work visa for 6 months, I stay for 6 years.
Right.
That's where the administrative detainments occur. But the folks that are being smuggled in or coming in over our borders without coming through a port of entry, those are criminals. They have committed a crime. That's the folks that ICE is picking up, and when they've been here, it's been to pick up somebody with a warrant for criminal action here in the United States.
Right.
And
that you wouldn't want in your community.
Right.
Yeah.
And to get them out. Now we had a pair of Chinese nationals that were scamming people.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
We turned over and they went. We had another fellow that was from the country of Georgia who was stealing cars.
Okay.
And he had been deported before and came back. We called and they came right down and got him, and away he went. That's the kind of things I'm interested in doing to keep Steuben County safe.
But imagine that there's people that are upset that you are working to take those people off the street. I mean, I saw some footage of, there's a protest every day on Market Street anymore. I saw it.
There was some walkout or something the other day. Yeah.
The 20th there was one, but I can't remember which one it was. And I saw that there was a sign that said something like "Sheriff Allers, stay away from." Or,
I'm not supposed to work with them.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably had cuss words in it too. But imagine you receiving a pushback for that.
It doesn't surprise me. If you recall, when I spoke out against marijuana, I received a lot of pushback. When I spoke out against bail reform, I received a lot of pushback. So it doesn't surprise me. But again, I think here, anybody that wants to sit down and discuss it with me, I'm more than happy, and I'll explain exactly what we do and how we do it, and that it works. Well, I've been working with ICE successfully since the 1990s.
Yeah, it's just now it's the buzzword. Yes,
and we do a ton of work with the FBI. We do a ton of work with the DEA. They're all law enforcement partners. I liken it to if suddenly we didn't like the DEA.
Right.
And we started protesting the DEA. It'll never happen while Terry Cole's in charge.
That's right.
but suddenly then we don't have to listen to them or follow the rules that are established in our national laws. I don't
understand the reasoning.
Yeah.
And the problem is and I hate to put it this way, but there's been so many protests, and it goes back to even before the George Floyd protests, because it's happened on college campuses with anti-Semitism. There's not consequences for these protesters and these people disrupting law enforcement.
Well, I think
and then
now
when
there
is, and then now that there is, they're not expecting that, and it's unfortunate that these protesters were coddled for so long.
Yes.
I'm not saying
there was no consequence to criminal activity.
Yeah, right.
And now there is.
Right. And that's why I think there's a shock, because really I think many of these protests, and I see it even locally, it is all about you getting your selfie, protesting and showing you care the most, getting the most likes, and when it gets out of hands and becomes a mob or a riot, there are consequences.
Yes, and it's really dangerous. That I saw, it was one of our local high school teachers that posted, if only Luke Skywalker had complied with the stormtroopers.
That's what I mean.
And that's, to me, that's incredibly dangerous, because this isn't a movie.
It's not a game. It's
not TV, and it's not a TikTok video. It's life and death sometimes.
Exactly.
And it's very real consequences. So when I see those things, it really terrifies me as to the danger and the possibility of violence.
Well, and their simplicity in some of their arguments has real world consequences.
Yes.
When you throw something like that out, like you said, it's a movie, it's almost like a fantasy, a sci-fi. It's not. It's
real life.
It's very serious. By the way, we mentioned you're going to be on the Pulse with Mayor Buckley on WLEA on Saturday and Sunday at 1 o'clock. You're also going to be making an appearance on February the 27th, I understand. Are we allowed to talk about that, or is that the big...
As far as I know.
We just did. That's a big one, Lincoln Day dinner.
Yes, I'll be on Lincoln Day dinner, and apparently I'm going to be the keynote speaker again, which is an incredible honor.
Absolutely.
So I look forward to that, and that is, as you know, it's the premier Republican gathering of the year.
It really is.
And I look forward to it, and it's a good re-energizer of the party locally, and kudos to the Hornell City Republican Committee for putting that on and hosting it and continuing to grow.
Seeing it grow every year. I think of how we've talked about it a million times, but Hornell, how one time a Democrat stronghold.
Yeah.
And look at the powerhouse it's become. Unfortunately, Corning's the other way around.
I know. Well,
but Hornell is.
There's always balance.
I know, but they've done such a great job with it. And really, if someone hasn't been, I should say, to the Hornell dinner and you're Republican, the Lincoln Day dinner, you're missing out.
Yeah, it is.
You get to see everybody.
Very good, energizing time, and the judge candidates from Rochester come down, and it's you get to see and hear a lot of your local representation speak.
And I will say, it's sadly, February 27th is basically the kickoff of petition season.
I know.
Isn't that sad? Okay, so if you're thinking of running for office...
Yeah, hopefully it's a little warmer then.
Yeah. All right, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
At Quickfill, what matters most is that our customers, our communities, and our heroes are taken care of. We start by providing American-made gasoline, which means you can buy local, keeping America and your communities strong. We also support vital charities every year and hold Operation Give Thanks each November to help provide a better future for our veterans and their families. We're proud to support the communities we live and work in, and we're doing our best every day to make our towns a better place. Quickfill, driving America.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Kyle just made a decision that would change his whole world.
Hey, you're sober? You drive.
Kyle just made a decision that would change his whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over.
WYDC TV is proud to provide informational and educational programming for children. For complete details, go to this address.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In the studio, the sheriff, a lot of S's there. Comment from a viewer. Good for you, Sheriff Allard. Stick to your guns. And good morning, by the way. Well, good morning.
Well, good morning.
Yeah, isn't that nice? And I want to thank, we have some people that send in like Climate Fact Friday, Bob, and things like that. We'll read those on Monday's show because we've got so much we got to pack in and we have no time left. All right. We talked about corrections officers. We talked about the prison. How's things going? I know numbers have kind of fluctuated every time we talk, especially after the non-strike or whatever Hochul calls it.
Right, yeah. So it was funny. I brought this up yesterday when the Division of Criminal Justice Services was in. The folks that went on strike from docks, from the state prison system, if they went back to work, so they decertified them, said, you'll never work in New York State again. And then they said, but if you come back to work for us again, we'll say no harm, no foul, and give you your certification back.
Yeah.
But if you go to work for a county, you got to go back through a basic course.
Yeah.
So I brought that up yesterday and said, how is that in any way equitable?
Yeah.
And they said, oh, we're still discussing that.
Okay.
I said, okay.
All right, there you go.
But they're doing well. We're still short people, so if you're interested in a career in corrections, big news. Our corrections unit was one of 3 in the state that still had 30-year retirement.
Oh, wow.
They successfully negotiated, and again, kudos to the legislature for agreeing.
I heard about that. Mm-hmm.
They successfully negotiated a 25-year retirement so that they're the same as the rest of the state now, and they did get a pretty nice pay raise with that. So I feel like we're going to be able to hopefully recruit a little better and replace some of those folks and try to get back up. We're still at least a dozen correction officers down, full-time correction officers down.
Wow.
So if you've considered a career in corrections, come on up. We'll feed you breakfast.
There you go. And speaking of breakfast, hey, what a segue. You make my job so easy. You had an appreciation breakfast?
We did.
How'd it go?
It went really well. Captain Mills and I throw on the aprons, and Jeff Horton, the legislator from Campbell, always laughs because he comes up and Captain Mills' apron is spotless. Mine's covered with flour.
You look like you're in a sitcom. Your face is all covered. Like I Love Lucy or something. I don't know.
And he's just like, why is his clean and yours is filthy? And I said, because my belly sticks out farther than
That's
this.
what
That's what it is.
But those are so nice, right?
They are. We feed, typically we're feeding about 80 people when we do those.
Wow.
So it was very nice.
What's on the menu next time? Well, how long do you guys wait to?
Usually it's every 3 months we
Yeah.
do one. So the next one will probably be a pizza one again.
Yeah. You guys, I think you guys like making the pizza ones.
We do. We enjoy it.
And before it's hard to believe the show's almost over. Actually, I got to take another break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. I always do this whenever you're on the program. We'll be right back.
At McGuire, we know buying a car is a big decision, so we made it a little easier. With our pre-owned 30-day exchange policy, if you don't love your car, truck, or SUV, return it within 30 days or 1,000 miles. Not liking the color, model, payment, whatever the reason, we'll give you the full value toward another car at McGuire, no questions asked. That's car buying with no regrets. McGuire, right by you.
We are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. The sheriff, we're getting ready to wrap up. Great question by Ken. He says, there's something I've always been curious about. In sanctuary cities, when the police release illegal immigrants that have committed a crime after ICE has sent a detainer, telling them to hold that individual until they arrive, why isn't that considered aiding and abetting a criminal, and why aren't federal charges filed against the chief of that police station?
That's an interesting question. There, if you recall, it was about this time last year when Tompkins County released someone, didn't hold them long enough for ICE to get there and grab them. There were talks.
Oh, okay.
And there was allegedly going to be a federal investigation into the Tompkins County Sheriff's Office for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difficult part of being a law enforcement executive in this day and age, when you have states passing laws that say you cannot fulfill your duties with the federal law.
Yeah.
And, we see that, especially in this state, where we can't share, for example, we can't share DMV information with our federal partners, or we lose our ability to run them and can be charged with a felony.
Right.
It makes absolutely no sense, but that's when the politics come into enforcement and keep us from just being a law and order society to becoming a politically motivated society. So there has been talks, and then you've heard talks about the mayor of Minneapolis and the governor of Minnesota of the possibility of federal charges there, which obviously is going to create issues.
It. Yeah, we'll be covering it here. Don't worry.
So
there'll be a lot of news coverage of that. All right, comment from a viewer. Morning, Frank. Good morning. Always a good show with Sheriff Allard. Isn't that nice? All right, just before we go, we're out of time, but I understand, kind of as a public service announcement, there's been another big scam going around. Phone delivery scam.
Yeah, so folks that get SNAP benefits are receiving phones. They think it's from the government.
Yeah.
It's not, because when they open it up and put in all your mother's maiden name and your first dog's name and all of those things, then it locks up, is unusable, but all of that information is extracted, including your bank account and your EBT card and all of that.
That's interesting, because you said SNAP, and then the last scam was for people that had, there was some, convicted sex offenders.
Yes.
It's interesting. The avenues are going down. But
right.
That does it for today. One last comment. We'll end on this. Thank you so much, Sheriff Allard, for coming on. Always a great show. One of these days it's not going to be great. One of these days we'll do a bad show. Hasn't happened yet.
Why would you jinx us like that?
I know. Hey, thanks for being on the show. Join us next week. Maybe on Monday, maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah. Hey, stay warm. And make sure you plan for the weather.
Yes, that's right. All right, join us Monday or Tuesday on Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox.
Young's Tires at 909 Chemung Street in Horseheads is the area's most trusted automotive repair facility. Check engine light on? Visit Young's Tires for a complete diagnostic check. Trust Young's Tires for complete repair, including tires, suspension, brakes, and more. For over 50 years, Young's Tires in Horseheads has been your trusted automotive repair shop. Whether you're an off-roader looking for a suspension upgrade or you want to get your star player to the game, trust the team at Young's Tires.
Time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.